Hey, I'm Peter Bukowski, host of the Locked On Today podcast. Trying to stay on top of every big story in sports is a full-time job. I know, because it is my full-time job, but it's not yours. That's why we have a network of local experts ready to give you the inside scoop on everything you truly need to know in the sports world, and we do it every day to make sure you're always caught up on the latest and greatest in sports. Listen to the Locked On Today podcast every day on the Odyssey app or wherever you get podcasts.
How's your mental health? I'm listening with Alanis Morissette.
When it first started, I would have my nightly panic attacks, but then I started getting really curious about all the sensations. Like, I just really started looking at, okay, so chest is, I got really kind of granular in observing the details of what was really going on with the breath and my jaw. It's just survival strategy. It's cortisol cooking nonstop. Chronic stress is trauma.
Explore more at imlistening.org.
436, welcome back, Jordana and Paul. And anything that you missed on this show, you can hear at Odyssey.com. Radio.com is now Odyssey.com. So if you want to go back and hear Rachel Paulos' interview, if you want to go back and hear some shout outs from the Mayo, whatever it is that you missed here on CCO on the Paul and Jordana show or all day, use Odyssey.com for all your audio needs. So today, the Minnesota Department of Health says 10 deaths and 2,659 infections of COVID-19 have been reported today. That is a one-day case total, being the highest since January 4th. And a lot of this is due to some troublesome variants. We try to have a positive show here on the Paul and Jordana show, but this is rather depressing. And here to break it down, make sense of it all, of course, is the medical director at Hennepin Healthcare, where I go for my COVID test, Dr. David Hilden. Dr. Hilden, so happy to have you back on the show.
Thanks, Jordana. It's good to be with you on a Friday afternoon.
Yeah, you got it. I was happy to have a negative COVID test. I get them every time before I have to get admitted to the hospital. But we're seeing this rise. I mean, how nervous should we be about these variants?
Well, I'm quite nervous about the increased cases, but there is a positive side of it. And it's this, that the cases they're really quite bad right now, and the variant is actually the B117 variant is quite prevalent in Minnesota. In fact, it's becoming the dominant form. So those cases are concerning. But the positive side of it is that deaths are not so far rising. At least not. And so what it could mean that, yes, young people particularly are getting sick. They're getting this variant, but the hospitals aren't filling up with COVID patients and deaths aren't happening, at least not yet. And I hope that's the case, because the most at-risk people all got vaccinated, or mostly got vaccinated. So the vaccines are protecting the most vulnerable, and all these new cases may well be in less vulnerable people. So maybe, we hope, that deaths won't rise. That's not a certainty, but we're hopeful that it doesn't rise as high as these cases are rising.
Dr. Hilden, I apologize. As you were speaking, Jordana cracked open a beer. She just couldn't take it anymore.
It was a soda.
Apologies.
It wasn't a soda. I know. It wasn't. True.
It was a grain belt, and there's nothing wrong with that, Joy. It's fine.
I wish they gave you that at the Mayo. I wish.
What was that, Surly's? What was it, Surly? Hey, Dr. Hilden, thanks for hopping on. I've got a question. I saw some stats today. More than half of rural residents in the U.S. have received at least one COVID-19 vaccine or plan to, but 1 in 5 say they definitely will not be vaccinated. My number, at least what the experts like you keep telling me, 80% to get to herd immunity. My question, if we don't get to herd immunity and we want to go out and have a somewhat normal summer, is the risk to the people who have been vaccinated, or is the risk for that 20% that for whatever reason decide not to get vaccinated?
Well, the risk to an individual's health it'll be to those 20%. They are making the decision, whether it be a well-informed one or at least a deeply held decision. They are putting themselves at risk, plain and simple. And so that, and if that's all it were, if it were just putting yourself at risk, then we can maybe all just shrug our shoulders and say, well, people can do what they want with their own health. That's not all it is, though. What they are doing, the 20% of you, with all due respect, you are helping to make this last longer for all of us. And so by not getting vaccinated, you are making the choice, whether you know it or not, you are making the choice that it is okay, or you are okay with extending this pandemic longer for all of us. And that sounds very harsh, but that's the nature of living in a human community. The actions of some of us are going to affect the lives of all of us. So I really encourage people, you might really have good reasons why you're considering not getting this vaccine. I would just ask you to deeply, deeply rethink that if you can, and bring yourself to getting the vaccine, and do it for your family, for your grandkids, for your mom and dad, do it for your town, do it for your church community, and get that vaccine.
Dr. Hilden, Paul mentioned a normal summer. I know the state is opening up vaccines to everybody 16 and older, and that's great. I have two younger than that want to go back to school and want to go to camp. When will we see the vaccine available to children, and do you think it's safe for kids?
All evidence so far suggests that it is indeed safe for kids, and they are starting to do lots of trials on that one. The trials are well underway. My speculation, what I think is likely to occur, is that kids around 12 years old and older will probably have this thing in their arm by the start of the school year. So maybe July, maybe August or September, but I think that's highly likely to be the case. It's going to require the FDA to give it approval for those ages, but so far it's looking good. Younger than age 12, I think it's more likely to be sometime in 2020. What's next year? 2022.
Yeah. We're all losing track,
Doctor. Likely to be after the first of the year for younger kids, just because they won't have been tested yet.
I'm going to try to squeeze in one more question. Dr. Hilden, I saw today Pfizer is petitioning the FDA for the ability to use their vaccine on children as young as 12.
Oh.
And I found that encouraging. The thing I wanted to ask you specifically, some of the polls that I've seen, nearly 3 in 10 healthcare workers say they do not intend to get vaccinated. Are you encountering that at Hennepin Healthcare?
No. Here at our hospital, we're well above that. I don't know what it is, but it's 75, 85-something% of healthcare workers have received the vaccine. I think what you're seeing is healthcare workers, a fairly broad category. And here in the hospital, here in the clinics, the vast majority of us have all had the vaccine. But healthcare workers also includes other smaller communities, nursing homes, other healthcare facilities, group home facilities, where they aren't seeing the effects of this disease like we're seeing here in the hospital. So I think the more people are exposed to the effects of COVID, the more likely they are to get the vaccine. So we are not seeing it here in our hospital. It's been overwhelmingly accepted.
Good.
Dr. David Hilden, Medical Director at Hennepin Healthcare. We love hearing you on the weekends on CCO Radio, and we love having you on the show. Thank you so much, sir, for your expertise.
Absolutely. Happy to be here, Jordana and Paul.
Thank you, Doc.
Introducing Odyssey exclusive stations. We've curated hundreds of new music stations available only on Odyssey by music fans for music fans. Check out our Masters of Metal playing the pioneers of heavy metal, or Katie Neal's Leading Ladies for a salute to the women of country. Like K-pop, Odyssey has that too. We've even invited a few of our famous friends to create stations just for Odyssey listeners like you. It's your pop, country, rock, hip-hop, 80s, fun, jam band, yacht rock soundtrack for your day by Odyssey.
For the ones who know safety isn't a catchphrase, it's a culture. And the ones who help make sure everyone makes it home safe. For the safety-minded who watch everyone's backs, Grainger offers supplies and solutions for every industry, as well as safety assessments and training to keep your facilities safe and your people safer. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.